Hello and welcome to our Friday webinar. We are back with Dr. Tom Tully. Welcome, Dr. Tully.
Well, welcome, Laura.
Hey.
Yes, and it's the end of November, and that's when the uh, the Thanksgiving for the year is occurs, and I'm thankful that we are here and that we've had such a great year of webinar attendees and questions, and look to finish the year on a high note.
That's right. We're coming up on the holiday
Flying
season.
high.
We kickstarted it with you last time with Halloween with the fabulous headpiece that you had, and so now we're heading into until Thanksgiving, and then my gosh, then the holiday season is fully upon us. So
Yeah, well,
uh,
I that's one of the things. I think the only thing you have to worry about at Thanksgiving is not to eat too much, you know,
it's true.
you know,
Yeah, that is true.
and so that's a good thing to do. But I hope for Halloween that everybody got more treats than tricks,
There you go. Yes,
so
hopefully.
and their little
Yeah, and
birds
speaking
too.
of little birds, so we were so when we were waiting to log in here, we were briefly touching upon but some of the videos that you see out there of birds interacting with other pets, and like on Instagram feeds and such. And we were talking about, we're going to share one that I was going to ask you about and get your take on this because some people just might not know what can happen when you have other pets interact with your bird. So this will be we'll walk, if you can walk us through this. I want to know what's going on with this. What should we be aware of with this video that was on Instagram. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, hopefully you can see that. Here we go. Walk us through this. Is that one is I know that cat saliva. Is that?
Yeah, well, the one thing is that it is you have a predator, and then you have a prey species right there, um, and then of course you have the fact that the licking and the cat saliva does contain potential pathogenic bacteria meaning bad bacteria on the bird, and then of course that there's the bird's going to groom and it's going to expose itself to that. Over and above that, this is basically an accident waiting to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you that my wife watches these. I'm going to use her as an example. I love her, but she, the little animal kind of posts and stuff like this, videos that you see, that she watches that. However, there are some that are fine and amazing and very cute, and there's no real danger there. And I can tell you that when you have something like this occur, that it is always the potential and the real potential, because in 38 years of practice, I cannot tell you how many birds that I've seen, from ducks to parrots, that have been traumatized and by dogs, cats, in particular. I'm gonna go with that. We're not going to mention other birds, because that is also a possibility, and you need to make sure that you have birds that are separated, that will have that's potential to damage or traumatize the other one. And birds don't learn. And I was mentioning we know they're intelligent creatures, very intelligent animals, but at the same time, they just do not learn. So they'll go back to the same cage with the macaw to say, you didn't really mean it, did you? And take off the other half of the beak after it had already taken off half 2 months earlier. So you have to help protect the birds in that way. Dogs and cats, they'll go along fine. They'll go along fine. You do this little video here, you post it. 2 weeks later, the cat just goes, and it's over in a split second. That's how quick it is. And that in animals, what triggers that? We don't know. I mean, I don't know what would trigger the cat to say, oh, I'm just licking you. And then boom, is it a movement? Is it something? Is it innate? But that's the danger there and the reality of it, because every time somebody brings in a bird that has been traumatized like that, what do they say? Oh, they've been together for years, or they've never. It's always it's just been they've been to get they sleep on and it's like, this is the first time it's ever happened. The problem is when you have a cat or a dog and a bird, that it only takes a split second, one time, and and that's always the kind of the same mindset that people who have large cats, like tigers and things like that. And invariably, it's one of those things where something can happen that's bad, that triggers it. And usually, and always when somebody is either there was that show in Vegas where they had the lions and tigers for years, and then all of a sudden one of them, the tigers attacked him. And it's like, what caused it? And it was all this big thing. Well, it was going to happen. So it's cute. I get that, but it is something that I would definitely not recommend, because there is a distinct possibility that if something does happen, we're not going to be able to, your veterinarian, it will not be able to save the animal. So
yeah, no, good points, because I mean, I've played with cats and they will, like, even playing, they'll kind of scratch your skin oftentimes with their like a play bite or a scratch. And so I imagine with the saliva and bird, even the cat's not meaning to hurt, like on a playful way, it could still be bad, right?
Yeah. And again, like I said, what triggers them from what do you say? You say Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll. I mean, what triggers that? Who knows? And that happens with dogs too, and things like that, where they can be dogs that are fine together, and oh, look at the little poodle. It just shows that German Shepherd where to go. It just rules the roost in this house. This little poodle rules the roost. Next thing you know, that little poodle's in that German Shepherd's mouth. It looks like a rag doll, just like that. But that, it's ruled the roost for 3 years. And then that German Shepherd said, no, not anymore. And I mean, and so it's the same way with the, I'm tired of grooming you. Don't want to do it anymore. So this won't happen again. Boom. So
yeah. Well, good points.
So please, and like I said, we're spending a little bit of time on this because, believe it or not, well, you see it, And so that therefore encourages you, again, like I said, my wife looks at, oh, look at this. And, and so it's like, well, it's okay. Well, it's not okay. And it's, and I can tell you, I have dealt with some really sad situations, as this. And so, please don't get kind of, sucked into that thought of cuteness in that situation.
Yes. All right. And hopefully, yeah, teach others that too. So if you're just joining us, well, we have a question ready for you. If you're just joining us, use the Q&A button and not the chat feature. And are you ready for the first one here, Tom?
Yes,
Dr.
indeed.
Tully?
We have people from
All
all
over.
and
Yes.
welcome and ready for some questions, and have a good late November Ask the Vet.
Yes, late November, fall Ask the Vet. Okay, it's from Kate. Question about African gray with feather dust. They have a Timna, their first gray. They've raised pigeons for years, and they, of course, pigeons, tons of dust, right? So, so much of it leaves outlines on the overlapping feathers. They also have a lot of underfluff. So having heard grays have tons of feather dust compared to pigeons, they don't have any. So I guess pigeons are like top dusters, and then grays are underneath that. Is there gray abnormal in not being dusty? Could it be a health issue, or are they just they're just so used to seeing massive dust on pigeons that comparably?
That's a good question, because what you're going to find is that you have some variability, just like human traits, that some will have a little bit more, and some a little bit less. In my experience, I've seen that with grays more than cockatoos, because cockatoos just seem to have a lot. The white cockatoos in particular. And as far as grays go, again, they have a significant amount of feather dust, and again, that's a natural trait that helps with the feathers and the feather quality, and so it's normal. But as far as the and the beak can be a little bit kind of have a little bit of feather dust on it, kind of where it's kind of just kind of powdery, a little bit of dust on there. Cockatoos the same way. You're not going to see a bright, shiny cockatoo beak. It's gonna look like it has some powder on it, and that's what that would be normal. But again, if you're going to have some with more, some with less. Now, the only the time that you would get concerned with any of these birds is if you didn't have any powder down, kind of powder that would be kind of being produced by the birds, and so there wouldn't be any of the feather dust whatsoever. You have a cockatoo with a shiny beak or gray, but and you say, well, why is that? That's one of the traits for cytosine beak and feather disease. It's one of the early traits of cytosine beak and feather disease. I don't think that that's what you're talking about with this gray, but I just wanted to mention it because when you're talking about powder and dust on these birds, then, like I said, there's some variability. But with cytosine beak and feather disease, the cockatoos will have a bright, shiny black beak. Okay, and it should be, like I said, like somebody put dusted powder on it, and that would be healthy. And then also you'll notice the feathers on some of these birds, where a cockatoo or a gray, it's almost like those feathers are painted on the bird. It's beautiful. They're just like painted on the bird. And so if the feathers are not that supple, they don't have that appearance, and then there's no powder on the beak, then that would be something like, I need to get this checked out, because you may or may not have feather abnormalities at that time that would be indicative. You may, because a lot of times that would be under the wings, where you'd see some of those smaller feathers where that are kind of abnormal early on in the process. But you're going to have some variability in a Timna. If I say that kind of historically, I seem to just think that they're a little less powder. Somebody's going to be on this and say, well, you should see my Timna. There's powder everywhere. So like I said, there's some variability on that. But if there's a little less, then that's good.
There you go. So they mentioned that with their experience with pigeons, that dust increases on with their health. Is that, do they become dustier with age, some birds, or?
That's a great observation, and you look at that. And then you may say that depending on the year, if there's more molting, as I've said, that there's certain times when the birds will have more of a molt than not. And then it's like, well, when, and I said, like, spring or fall, and is when I usually see more feathers than just the occasional feather in citizen species. And so you may have more during the development or what have you. But, in my experience with cockatoos, I don't really see, it's just powder all the time. But as far as the health goes, yes, I think that if you have powder, that would be indicative of health. And like I said, if you didn't, then there's one disease, the citizen beacon feather, that would be associated with that. But overall, I think that that if you're going to notice a powder problem with the birds and it's a disease condition, that it would be over a period of time. It wouldn't be like a disease that just occurred, because it takes a little bit of time. That would be indicative possibly of a nutritional aspect, where the birds aren't on a good nutritional diet. And so that would be kind of in a backdoor way, where you say, well, it's not that their health necessarily, okay, but it's the nutrition that affects their ability to be healthy, okay? So that in itself, I would have to say yes to the question, but through that manner. It's just not like, well, it's just a infectious disease process. It's just like what people say, well, their health. Yes, their overall health with the nutrition involved in that affects their immune status and their ability to be healthy and ward off all of the disease conditions. So very good. Yeah.
All right, you ready for our next one? It's
Yes.
from Sharon. Sharon wants to know, what tests do you recommend for the initial well bird visit versus the annual wellness check? So you just got a new bird, you're doing that first bird visit. Is that different than what you would do on your regular annual checkup with your bird?
Another great question.
Yeah.
Another question. And this is a ask the vet personal opinion. right?
Oh yeah. What is Dr.
Me.
Tom Tully's personal opinion on this matter?
This is what I feel comfortable with, and and then you go to somebody else, they may have a different thought process. But you're asking me, so
Yep.
I've got the floor here. So as far as that is concerned, it's very important. One, uh, what I always say about the initial visit is that it's an education. We're, and it takes a little bit of time on that. And so what you're going to pay for the visit, you're going to have to pay for the tests that are run, but the education is invaluable. And that is what we look to provide as far as because we are only a small fraction of what that bird's life is, and has control over that. It may be an important fraction if that bird is sick. However, the owner, the owner, are with that bird 99.9% of the time. You have control over that bird's life, happiness, longevity, and health. And so there's a lot of information out there. And what I enjoy doing is communicating and educating owners on what the information that we have that at least has been both through scientific evidence and also and through experience to be recommended for the bird to live long, happy, healthy lives. And that goes through nutrition. That also goes through the environment that the bird is in. And so the education is paramount to get started on the right foot for a long relationship with that animal. Now, as far as the the medicine is concerned, we get the full history and information on that. Now, as far as the bird itself, we do a physical exam, an external physical exam, and then the tests that I recommend, if there is no other external abnormalities for that bird, is a complete blood count. A complete blood count is I think essential on every visit for an annual physical exam or any physical exam. That way, you've heard me say this before, is that we can see what's going on outside, but we don't know what's going on inside. And that's why they do blood work, which is usually at least a complete blood count, looking at the white cells, the red cells, the total protein. And then also there's the biochemistry panel that looks at liver enzymes, that looks like the kidney function, glucose, blood glucose, your calcium, your phosphorus, your magnesium. That's the chemistry panel. That tells what physiologically is going on in that bird. So to get a baseline, a CBC and a chemistry panel would be standard for a initial physical exam. If depending on the history of the bird, if it was hatched and hand raised and sold in a pet shop, it's unlikely that there would be any type of parasite problem. So, you know, somebody could check for it, but it's highly unlikely, and we don't just do that here. Somebody else may, and I can't argue with that for completeness, but the likelihood of exposure to a parasite would be a intestinal parasite, where you look at a stool sample, would be highly unlikely. And then unless we see anything externally, then there's not any other diagnostic tests that we perform on our post-purchase physical. Okay. Now, there are a lot of tests out there for diseases. Polyoma virus, there's cytosine beacon feather disease, there is circovirus, cytosine beacon feather disease. You can get a bornovirus test. So there are tests out there that you can run on the bird. Now, if it's a cockatoo, a lovebird, or a bird that's susceptible to being subclinical, meaning it's a carrier, and you want to protect that from going into your aviary, then you may want to test for cytosine beacon feather disease that could possibly be found on the blood, but it doesn't show up on the on the feathers yet. There's nothing, the bird looks great, but you want to just make sure, then that would be a test that you would run just to try to get as much confirmation as you can. So physical exam, you have the complete blood count, the serum biochemistry analysis, and plus or minus the fecal exam, and then you have the some people will run a gram stain on the stool to try to check and see what the GI flora is. If the stool looks normal, to me, I don't do that personally. And then the screening for some of these, other than cytosine beacon feather disease, I don't feel it's worthwhile, because unless the bird is actually showing clinical signs associated with the disease, a lot of these diseases are intermittent shedders, and a negative test, you can't guarantee that it does not have it subclinically. But if you want to test for it, we have a motto here at LSU: we aim to please. If you want to run those tests on the birds, said, I don't care, Dr. Tully, I want to run those tests, I want to make sure, I'm more than happy to do that. And so we can do that. But in general, like I said, that's what we normally do for the post-purchase physical. And if we see anything abnormal, there's a lump or a bump there, we may want to do a fine needle aspirate. We see evidence that there may be inflammation in the choana, we may do a culture. But that would be dependent upon anything that we see in that. So that's an excellent question. But the CBC and the serum chemistry panel are as important as doing a physical exam on the exterior. Us looking at it. So we look on the inside, we look on the outside, and so there you go.
Yeah. All right.
Great question.
Yeah, no, great question. Do you get the results of the blood of the CBC panel that day, or is it something that it depends on?
Yeah, usually that's a good question too. With avian blood, the red blood cells are nucleated. they have a nucleus in them, like reptile blood has a nucleus, or avian has a nucleus. And so automated mammalian blood, counters, our red blood cells do not have nucleus in them. Okay, they're anucleated. Okay, so our platelets, our red blood cells, or our red blood cells, I'm sorry, have a do not have a nucleus, and so the automated counters can tell the difference between the red blood cells and the white blood cells, which do have nucleus in them. And so, but they can't differentiate. And they've been working on it for at least, 30 years to try to develop techniques. And I think they'll get there eventually. But, and so it takes time. It has to be manually read, and so it takes a little bit more time on an avian. But if you go to your veterinarian, they have to send it off. It'll be back the next day. Yeah, usually next day or two. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, a question from Michelle about okay. Previous bird was ill. The vet had them give prime, which is like vitamins, minerals, etc. So they continued giving it to their 2-year-old cockatiel. So daily he gets nutriberries, a teaspoon of both oats and groats, and a teaspoon of fat-free seed mix. But as you always point out, apparently we don't know how much he actually eats. There's always broken up nutriberries and seeds left in the dishes. So they don't know how much of the nutrients he's actually eating, and should they continue with the prime, or is there a chance that can you overload with vitamins?
Okay, the simple answer is yes, you could. There's certain vitamins, especially A, D, E, and K, your fat soluble vitamins. That is always the possibility of having toxicity. We've had some incidents of vitamin D toxicity affecting the kidneys on some birds. So there is a possibility. However, of course, you can, vitamin C, no, you're not going to be able to, overload B vitamins. But what we're looking at there is that if you're giving it as prescribed, that it's, I do not feel like it's going to be problematic, on that. So the simple answer to, can you overload on what? Can you get, have a vitamin toxicosis? Oh, yes, you can. We can. I mean, if we take, it's just specifically A, D, E, and K, that in using it as it is recommended with the feeding that you're provide, it should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what our next. Okay, so Ronald asks, as you know, they have 2 young male grays. They keep them separated. One sits on the shoulder and the other flies all over the room, and they could be as close to each other as long as one sits on the shoulder. Just a different personalities. They don't know if they'll ever accept each other. Any insight on that? You got 2 grays. They kind of live in the same household, but they're young, but they don't necessarily get along. So
yeah. Well, that's the possibility of a gray, right? It's and so that's okay. I mean, just if they don't, it's not something that I would say to go through and try to necessarily encourage them to get along. I think that there are personalities in birds that when you look at it, and it's known, and this is just kind of some thoughts based on some kind of historical perspective again, where you have the birds and you have 9 males and you have 9 females, and you kind of separate them, and or you put them together and you say pair up. Well, some will go one way and some will go another way, and so they'll mate on their own. They'll find who they like, and do their own you know, choice. A lot of times, like I said, when we pair up birds, that we are looking at, it's arranged marriages. You know, you don't have the luxury like Laurel Park of putting 9 blue and golds in, and males, and 9, you know, females. And so so you hope they get along. In this case, you have 2 grays, 2 male grays, and there's a distinct possibility. It's like, I don't trust you, I don't like you, and so just respect that. And that's the one thing that I always have tried to do, is just respect the bird's wishes on that, and not try to make them do something that they don't want to do, and to try to go and work in a positive manner with it. So I wouldn't say there's anything to worry about, but I just wouldn't try to make them like each other or to get along. And I think that you may see over time that as with gray and with grays and anything, that they may have a they may get used to the, you know, they may accommodate over time, as grays can do. So that's what I would say. I don't know if you have anything, Laura.
Oh, I was just wondering too, they also change personalities. Sorry, when they reach sexual maturity, they can.
Yeah. When they do reach sexual maturity, that may also kind of increase the dislike from each other. Yeah.
So we have sorry, my wind here. So Gina wants to know, Spencer, their Congo African gray at 20 years, do they trim their claws for them or for us? They want them to have be able to walk on the floor as well as to perch. So how often should nails be trimmed, and how often should nails be trimmed? And we're talking about, well, this is specifically Congo African gray that's about 20 years.
I don't know how long we've been doing this, but I tell you, we just get great questions all the time. You know, I mean, they just, I just want to thank the attendees. I mean, it's just like it's so great question on trimming the claws. And again, it's not nails, it's claws, and there's blood in there, and it kind of overlies a supportive structure at the end of the toe. So and it's and kind of a bony, the claws are kind of a bony projection out of the toe, covered by kind of the hard keratinized nail, okay, coating, if you will. And so as it grows, so does that vascularity. And so trimming is the claws on birds is painful. But some birds, you never have to trim them. Other birds, you do have to trim them. And it's dependent upon a couple of factors. One, if they become sharp talons, and I have seen owners' arms that look like they were in a fight with a barbed wire fence, okay? Literally. And so, and they interact with their bird, those need to be trimmed because they're just too sharp and usually long, but you don't need to trim them very long. Some birds just have quick growth. They don't really ever become sharp because they're still blunted. And I'm thinking of some macaws and cockatoos, some bigger birds, where they will actually curl around, and I just call it macro Velcro, where it'll get caught in a cage, and the next thing you know, they're ripping off that claw because it's a loop. It forms a loop, and so those need to be trimmed. And to trim the claws to the length, and so you say, well, how long do you trim them? Well, I trim them to where in a normal curve that it's level with the surface of the foot. Okay, so if it's when you have it, I haven't done this in a while.
Ooh, are you going to draw for us?
Drawn in a while.
Love it.
You know, so if you look at this, you see here is the toe, and then the claw in a normal position. This is the length that I would go in. We can have birds that the claw actually extends around. It goes all the way around like this, and we have to cut off that much to get it back to normal. And so it is, for one thing, when we're grooming, in most birds, we'll sedate the birds so they're under sedation. Okay. One, it helps just relax the birds, and then it also helps them kind of forget or not remember what happened. And so we can sedate them for the procedure, and then we can reverse that so they will be up and ready to go. They're not under general anesthesia. We just sedate them, and that is a wonderful advancement in avian medicine over the last 15 years. It's just wonderful. Wonderful for me, wonderful for the birds, more wonderful for the birds. And then also we do give them a anti-inflammatory injection for pain, meloxicam, which is similar to Advil, and we'll give that to them. And them after we during or before the procedure, so it'll be on when that happens. And so those are the two reasons that we trim the nails. Like I said, not all birds. I know some people on this webinar are going, never had to trim my bird's claws before. Yeah, that's true. And if you don't need to, that's great. Those are the two main reasons that you would trim them. And then you go, well, how often? That's another question, right? How often do I trim them? Well, when the barbed wire starts coming back around your arm, that's when you need to get it trimmed. And when you don't want that claw to grow around, so because when they rip it off, we don't have to worry about trimming it anymore. And I don't want that to happen. Okay. It's painful, but it'll heal fine. And I'm sure, again, many people, I have a bird with no claw, and they do fine. But if it doesn't have to happen, then that's good. But sedation, and also the kind of pain management for a day, and then go from there. Yeah.
Okay. I think you nailed that question. That's good with your drawings too. You have one from Susan. Her Amazon owns her. I love it. He has arthritis in. He is on meloxicam. They want to know, can they also give him fresh grated turmeric in his food, and would it alter his liver enzymes? Would fresh ginger be a good alternative? So in addition to their Amazon's blood work recently showed low phosphorus. They just picked up Lafeber, some Lafeber vitamins from the vet.
Huh?
So Gabby, that's the Amazon has a good diet overall. Is there food that they can wait, Gabby? Is there a food that they can give him to help as well? So we're asking, I guess, a few parts to this question.
Well, the ginger and something turmeric, did you say?
So 35-year-old Amazon with arthritis is on meloxicam. They want to know, can they also give him a fresh grated turmeric? And would that alter his liver enzymes? Also, would fresh ginger be a good alternative? So they did, and they're also just started him on Lafeber vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
The blood work recently showed low phosphorus.
Yeah. Well, I would say that that it is unknown as to how effective the turmeric or the ginger would be. Okay. Is it possible that it would be beneficial if the turmeric would cause liver problems in other animals, humans, what have you? Then yes, it could definitely cause that in the Amazon. There was a time when comfrey is kind of an herbal. People have tea, make tea out of it, and it's supposed to relax you, I think. But also that comfrey, too much comfrey can give you can cause liver damage. You can get liver damage with that, and so canaries seem to love comfrey, and so I had the question about that. Is that fine? Well, I mean, if they like it and they eat too much, kind of like hyacinth macaws and macadamia nuts, which doesn't have any vitamin B12, if they only ate macadamia nuts, they would have a problem. So, that's a possibility if it's fed wrong. And so with the turmeric, if it causes liver disease in other animals, yes, it could cause liver problems in birds, and ginger. And so that's also in any of these supplements. If you are interested in using them, I would definitely consult with somebody that's an integrative medicine, has a knowledge in integrative medicine, meaning integrative. You say, what's integrative? It means integrating Eastern and Western medicine together to work kind of synergistically. Okay. So these people have been trained on herbal medicine and can provide possibly compounds of herbs that they feel and they have a knowledge of that would be beneficial for that. If you feel you want to try to look at an alternative, and then that way at least you're getting it from a veterinarian that has knowledge on dosing, how much to give, what to look for, what's going, and targeting that. So that would be my recommendation for anybody that wants to try any herbal supplements such as that. Talk with an integrative veterinary, a veterinarian that's knowledgeable in integration. They're not specialists, but that's where I was stuck. It's not a specialist, but they're knowledgeable and they've had training in integrative medicine. And so in that way, and they have you'll probably be blown away with with everything that they know. And and they would have recommendations on something like that. And so that's what the situation may be helpful. And you've done well with your Amazon, getting him to 35 years and hopefully another 10 or 15 or more on that. But yeah, arthritis can be painful, and the meloxicam, and if you can get something that every drug has side effects, as we all know, and so anything to kind of help out would be beneficial. And to investigate something like this would be good, to see on it. But I wouldn't just do it kind of on the fly. I've definitely talked to somebody who has some training in this. Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
We have another question, another dusty question. This is about let's see, from Lynette, the lineated parakeet, tiny little boy with attitude. That's funny. Most of our species are mid-sized. They only have pet birds, by the way. So he's quarantined, but when he comes out, they were wondering about keeping him away from their dusty birds. So he's separated by cage in a sleep room, and daytime the parrots are never left alone. So is he going to be okay? He should be fine, but they want to know about the dust. So is him, this little Lenny, is there any concerns about him being exposed to his flockmate's dust?
I think under kind of normal circumstances, and if you have airflow within the room, kind of a normal HVAC system, and you have air turnover in the room, that it's going to be fine. I don't think that you're going to have any issues with that. Yeah.
Kind of speaks to what the old world and new world parrots somewhere. Like, should you have, like, we've had a bird that comes from the rainforest, like an Amazon with a cockatoo, like a dryer, like dustier, like, can they get allergies with each other?
Yeah. And one thing that a lot of times people don't think about is just the vocalization. I think that is as concerning as far as just the psychological aspect of the birds being adaptive next to each other. If you have something like a lory next to a bird that's just like going all the time, it's like, I think that can be that can drive a bird to have feather destructive behavior. I mean, so you have
to. Good point. Okay, we have a question from it's from Lisa. She says, "Hi, Dr. Tully. She was at the AAV conference recently, and they talked about a little bit about avian influenza being reported in 37 states. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because people might not be aware of that, and what they can do as far as biosecurity goes. So what do you know about the avian influenza that's now in 37 states, and what can we do to protect our birds?"
Yes. Well, avian influenza, everybody, it's probably just not on everybody's radar, but of course it's on our radar. And the avian influenza, it's a kind of a complicated issue, and we don't have enough time for it. It's something that we may be able to talk about next time. But the avian influenza is what we call endemic. It is within the United States. However, it's just like the flu, influenza. Okay. We have to get a vaccine, or we don't have to do anything, but we should get a vaccine every year. because it has a change. It genetically changes, I guess. You know, you get this what we call recrudescence, or change in the um, in the virus. It modifies, and I think everybody's familiar with the Omicron variant of coronavirus, and the Beta and the Delta, whatever. That is kind of the change in the virus. It's the same classification. It's the same virus, but it changes. And that's what avian influenza does. Sometimes avian influenza doesn't kill birds. It only kills certain birds. And other times it kills other birds. And this is one of the things about avian influenza, that they're concerned about it actually changing and being able to infect humans, and then humans can infect each other. And so they really don't want that. And so, but that's avian influenza. It's here, and it's been here for years, and it just changes. It just, you know, some is pathogenic, and others it's not pathogenic. And so we have a highly pathogenic avian influenza strain. And guess where the avian influenza, how it's disseminated? Well, it's in the environment. So birds migrate, birds fly around, and everything like that. And it has been on the radar, and we have been kind of monitoring birds coming in the hospital if they are susceptible, if they're outside. That, and it's not to say, you know, I put my bird outside, that I'm not concerned about avian influenza, because there's not going to be contact with any other birds or ducks or geese or what have you. I bring them back in so the owl doesn't attack him at night like the little budgie. But you know, so it's one of those things that you have to have the kind of the right exposure, and that's why it gets a little bit complicated. The question is great. People should be aware of it. I would recommend people look at this. It is a virus that is, like I said, that's, you know, it's been within the United States forever, but it changes, just like the COVID virus changes, and just like that, we get new vaccine, you know, different variant. They have different variants. And so this is just a highly pathogenic variant. And I'll tell you that the main concern with the avian influenza is there's concern about all birds, but the main concern by the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, is the $45 billion poultry industry. The chicken sandwiches, the chicken nuggets, the chicken wings, all of that. And the turkey.
Thanksgiving, right?
Yes, it's a turkey. Yes, all of that. Yeah. $45 billion a year. Wow. That's the U.S. poultry industry. It's been vacillating between 35 to 48 billion, but that's what it is the last time. So anyway, and that includes eggs and all that, but and those chickens that you buy at the store that's already cooked, and it's like, I don't have to cook it. And so anyway, thank you for the question. Like I said, it's complicated. I mean, it's involved, but I think those are the bases. And it also gives people, especially on this webinar, a chance to go in and look and learn more about it on the internet. Yeah.
There we go. Stay tuned to.
Would be a good source. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's wow. We just burned through the hour there. That went by very quick. I got to announce our giveaway winner and some other up and coming things that are in the next month. So thanks, Dr. Tully. That was a very I love these questions. They're always so.
The people, you know, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the
There
questions.
you go.
They were great.
And we're thankful that you can be here to
Way
answer
to
the
start
questions.
the Thanksgiving kind of week there.
That's right. That's the thing we're going with. Okay, so today's winner of our giveaway is Kate P. Last name starts with a P. So Kate, congratulations. Let's see, what are we giving away? I think, what are we giving away today? We are well, it's going to be a Lafeber product of your first choice. And I'm going to get, I think it's the Senior Bird Nutriberries. Which you can be fed at all life stages, but particularly helpful for older birds. Hopefully that makes you and your birds weekend. Also, guess what? We have a little break, and we'll be back in December. So December is going to be super interesting because what do we have going? We're going to be translating parrot. That's going to be with Pamela Clark on December 1st. And then another episode of Translating Parrot. And this is something I think is overdue. And that's also with Pamela Clark. And that's going to be the challenges of the green cheek conure. So there you go. Like we have, I think a conure episode is overdue since they're a little energetic. There's a lot of character going on with the conures. It's good. And they're popular. So I think they need their own little webinar, right? And then, okay, going down the list here. We're going to be back with you on the 15th of December. And so save your keep questions in mind. Come back with us on the 15th. Ask your question, Dr. Tully. I want to stump Dr. Tully question. We haven't had one in a while, so really throw a hard one at him. He has to research behind the scenes and then comes back the next year with it. And then December 20th. That is our holiday pet giveaway. It's a special time. We're moving it up an hour. And it's going to be fabulous. We're giving away cages. We're giving away so much stuff that you don't want to miss out on this. This is our third time doing this, and every year it kind of builds momentum. We're also going to give away some Lafeber backpacks with some tumbler cups. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be a special time. And oh yeah, Brenda just mentioned $3,000 worth of prizes. So yeah, so do not miss this. This will be fun. And another special announcement is, let's see, this is what I'll end on. Lafeber is going to be coming up with a new flavor. So they're taking people's input on that. So let me show you. It's a poll on the new flavor of Nutriberries. So if you want to have say in this, then you got to go on the Facebook page and submit your flavor suggestion. Let me see if I can share this real quick. See what it looks like on the. Let's see. There we go. They want to hear from you. Go on the Facebook page and select your flavor choice for the new Nutriberries. So we have the banana berries, which are probably selling out fast and almost not available. So if you want to check the site, see if you can still get some of the banana Nutriberries. But another new flavor. Do you have any suggestions, Dr. Tully? What would be your favorite Nutriberry new flavor if you had to choose one? What would it be?
Who?
Put you on the spot.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Cheddar berries. I like the cheddar berries.
Cheddar berries. Okay, well, that was.
I mean, they had cheddar berries. They had the cheddar berries, and so, and then people, not. I think some veterinarian. I don't know, but they were discontinued. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like the cheddar berry. So I mean, hands down, that was my so far. But I'm looking to but they've been discontinued. But I'm looking to see what the results of the poll are going to be.
I know of an exciting new flavor. I was just wondering if there's like a Louisiana Cajun some kind of a crawfish Nutriberry. Oh gosh, that would be
gumbo.
Yeah, there you go. Gumbo. A gumbo Nutriberry. There you go. That would be fun. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna put that down as your suggestion. We'll see how far that goes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, all right, everybody. On that note, we're out of time, and we'll see you hopefully on the 1st. And we actually have a lot of webinars coming up in December, so please join us. All right. Thanks again, Dr. Tully. Another great episode.
So much, Laura, Brenda, and all of the webinar attendees. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you. Okay, everyone. Have a great weekend. All the best in your flock, and everybody stay safe. Bye. Until next time.